If you ask me, Marvel cooked, they served, and they ate it up this weekend at SDCC for their Hall H panel. So many exciting announcements, reveals, and even surprises that are worth talking about. I think Marvel delivered in spades, and most importantly, they gave fans something to look forward to, both in Doomsday, Secret Wars, and post-Secret Wars. Marvel had my curiosity with the Doomsday teaser, but now they have my attention after this panel. There's no time like the present. Let's get into my Hall H predictions and see what I got right, wrong, and what surprised me. The Doomsday trailer, I gotta give myself half points for this. Even though they dropped that first teaser 6 days before SDCC, they actually dropped another trailer in Hall H just for the fans. It's since been leaked online, and from what I could tell from that potato format, it was exactly what I wanted from that first teaser. More on that later in the video. Brand new day content. There was some footage shown. Looked like it was a bit of a Punisher versus Hulk footage. From what I heard, it looked pretty positive. I don't think anyone else needs convincing on this movie. Everyone's just ready to go. It's coming out in like 4 days. The cast introductions, they basically brought out only half the cast, but they took up the whole stage. Crazy because there's still so many more cast members that could have been there, but quite honestly, it would have been way too crowded if they had all shown up. Endgame encore clarification did happen. They even showed a trailer for that movie, which was mostly just the Endgame footage that we're all familiar with. Plus, there were some scenes in there about Captain America returning the stones, which is really interesting because I guess they had already shot that Nomad show, or at least had a lot of concepts for that Nomad show so long ago that they're finally using in this encore movie. Black Panther 3 confirmed David Jonsson, which I did not see coming as T'Challa Jr., but what an incredible casting announcement. It's perfect. If you've seen this guy in Romulus or The Long Walk, he is an exceptional talent. I think he's going to bring something really unique and amazing and emotional to the new T'Challa Jr. that's going to really make fans excited for this IP. Here are the things I got wrong. There was no Secret Wars framing at all. I don't even think they mentioned the name Secret Wars on stage, which is kind of crazy, but the focus was obviously on Doomsday, which makes sense. It's the most pressing. Yeah, I was just surprised that there wasn't even a mention of it, but that'll definitely be next year. The X-Men casting, the closer we got to the event, the more I was skeptical there'd be anything, just because we already have the old X-Men in this Doomsday movie, and it would feel like they're trying to, overshadow them if they brought in this whole new cast on stage. So we got to get over the hump of Doomsday and potentially Secret Wars until we actually see something like this at SDCC. MCU full slate, like they used to have those massive timelines they'd put up on screen for the next 3-5 years. We got like a 2-year project confirmation that we will get into a little bit later. Those projects did include Ghost Rider and Black Panther 3. The long shots, like I threw in Deadpool and Wolverine, and I was somewhat right because what we got was a full Canadian tuxedo Deadpool, which was awesome. And I guess Ryan Reynolds just strolled around SDCC like this and nobody knew it was him until he started talking in Hall H. So, kudos to them. I heard something about the marketing team doing something they'd never done before, and I think that was one of those things. If this has happened before at SDCC, let me know down below, but I think this was something very unique and special to the marketing this year. And obviously the Till You're 90 moment did not happen. Maybe that's something they're going to do in the movie, or it's not going to happen at all, but I thought it'd be a nice little tongue-in-cheek way of announcing they'd be in the movie. And the thing that I didn't see coming at all was the Ghost Rider announcement. I didn't even realize that this was like a fan casting thing for so long. This has been going on in the backgrounds for years, and now it's finally coming to fulfillment, and I think it'll be great. I have zero connection to Ghost Rider, never saw those movies with Nicolas Cage, so I don't know, could be good. I just want to get into the highlights of the panel, like the things that really stuck out, and obviously everyone is talking about. Like, we have the new Ghost Rider announcement starring Ryan Gosling and directed by Shawn Levy. This is the biggest surprise of the night because I think this story might have broke just a few minutes before they actually took stage. Well, maybe not, maybe a few hours before they actually took stage. And so this was something they kept under wraps, even though they're pretty deep in development for them to be pushing this out in 2028. Like I said, Gosling has openly talked about wanting this role, and now it's coming to fruition. There's obviously a reason why he's so passionate about this. This kind of has that same vibe as like Ryan Reynolds going after Deadpool, even though that spans so many more years. But you can kind of see that he is very excited for the role, and he's going to bring something, special and something that maybe fans have been clamoring for that they didn't get in those Nicolas Cage movies. And Shawn Levy coming back fresh off of Deadpool, I think it's just Marvel just taking a bankable director that they're already working with and saying like, hey, you want this new project? It is kind of funny that he's coming straight off of Star Wars Starfighter into this with the same lead and Levy. So, you know, when you got something that works, you got to leverage that. And where Marvel is today, like, they don't really want to take chances on like small directors. They want guys that they know are surefire bets. So I think this makes logical sense for me. And again, this 2028 release, like, I couldn't figure out. So this must be before Black Panther 3, and Black Panther 3 is coming out in December of 2028. So yeah, they're gonna be moving on this really quick. Potentially we could see this character come into Secret Wars even before we see him in his own movie. I think that's highly likely since he's taking the stage. But you know, anyone is likely in Secret Wars at this point. But I do think it's fascinating they're moving on it so fast, and it kind of makes me want to walk back my comments about Midnight Suns, because it really seems like they are leading to that now at this point. We might get a cameo from like a Blade, potentially. Probably not Mahershala, but I would love it if it was, but no, they really cooked that whole development. Spider-Man Brand New Day, it was pretty brief. They didn't really show a lot that we didn't already know. I've been staying away from a lot of the marketing since the first trailer that came out. I did see something that was in front of the Odyssey that I have to admit I did not think was very good. It was the one that was like a retrospective looking at all the previous 3 Holland movies and then leading up to this one. I don't know, it didn't work for me, and it didn't really sell me on anything in the movie. But yeah, they showed Hulk versus Punisher, so if you weren't already bought in on these characters colliding and fighting against each other, then this one might have done it for you. But I think we've seen enough of Spider-Man at this point. I think we're close enough that we don't really need any more. People are already in the seats. So as long as the movie delivers, then this movie's gonna be a hit. And of course, they had the Avengers Doomsday exclusive footage. We knew they'd show something in Hall H, because you don't just shell out all that money to go to San Diego Comic-Con and don't get something exclusive, right? And they delivered on that with Doomsday. The trailer that they showed there, it did leak online shortly after. And I mean, even in its potato format, this was the kind of trailer I wanted to see for Doomsday. All right, the setup and contextualizing of the Fantastic Four and Doom's relationship, showing Doom's powers, showing his menace, like really pulling in the emotion and kind of like the drama of this movie and giving me an idea of the scope of the story. It was a lot more compelling than the "Hey, remember these guys" teaser we got just a few days earlier. So I'm really excited to see what they do. If they end up dropping this, because it looked amazing. If they drop something else that's equally as good, I'd be happy with that too. But I do really want a trailer that sells me more on this movie, more than I already am sold. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room. Deadpool crashing the party at SDCC without anybody knowing. Somehow this guy went undercover in a gray suit. Nobody thought it was him. He stood right amongst the crowd, mingled with a lot of the fans, not saying a word, but cosplaying, and fooled everybody. So when it came to the point in the panel where I think it was RDJ like called him out, like said, "Hey, this guy with the swords," and he starts talking on the mic and everyone realizes it's Ryan Reynolds, totally stopped the panel. He makes a few great jokes where, you know, he brings up the reference to Thor crying in Deadpool 3. Paul Rudd throws a joke back at him, and like there's a nice dialogue going. But the big thing about this whole interaction and the big question is like, does this mean that Deadpool is confirmed for Doomsday? Because the whole dialogue is him saying he wants to be in the movie, but they've already shot the movie. But then what really hooked me was at the very end when Anthony Russo chimes in and he says something to the extent of, these movies, like, or we're constantly working on these movies until they rip it out of our hands, which kind of opens the door in saying like, potentially Deadpool could still be in this movie, you know, until this movie is ripped out of the editing bay. There's a good chance we could see him. And I think it's a misdirection, even though he's wearing that gray, I guess that's the task force or the, some X-Force suit, I think. I don't think that just means he's going to be in X-Force. I think he will still have a role in Doomsday, and they are just playing with the audience a little bit. Now let's get to the real meat and potatoes. I mean, this was the most exciting thing for me going into Hall H. I was just really excited to hear something about Black Panther. I knew that Coogler would come out there because, You know, this was Marvel trying to make a big splash, big announcements, really try and, you know, reframe how people are looking at their studio, how the fans are engaging with their studio. And what better way than to bring out like your most talented, most recognized on a prestige level of your filmmakers. And that would be to bring out Ryan Coogler. And Ryan Coogler comes out, and honestly, what he's delivering to the audience, it seemed like he was trying to get everyone in the audience to come on board and be okay with the idea of having this new T'Challa, because it took him a while to actually spit it out. But when he eventually does get to that point, and he brings up that it's going to be David Jonsson, I was like, I didn't even think of David Jonsson, but this is perfect. Like, everyone was thinking Damson Idris, which would have been great, but Jonsson, he brought something so special to both Romulus, but especially The Long Walk, where when you walk away from that movie, no pun intended, like, he is that character that just brought out so much emotion, and like his personality, that the personality of the character, like his warmth, his trauma, his charisma, like everything that he brings. As soon as he came out, I was like, damn, like that's a no-brainer, of course. And you know, obviously, since he's playing the younger T'Challa Jr., it's just going to work that much better. Jonsson is like a little bit, you know, he looks younger, so he can play that role. I don't know exactly how they're going to do that with time jumps. We'll have to see after Secret Wars, but very excited to see him take the role. I think he's going to smash it. One more thing that Coogler mentioned was that he's going to be shooting this on celluloid film, which I had to go and look it up. But I think Coogler's really, again, going into this prestige idea, like he wants to deliver something, maybe after, you know, coming off of Sinners and dipping into that IMAX format. He wants to bring something really special to this Black Panther 3 movie. So I think we're going to get a really unique, at least, you know, in the sense of epic, like grand scale filmmaking, when you're working with celluloid film, that's going to just take this movie to the next level. I'm really intrigued to see what he does with it. And I hope more directors kind of follow in suit and trying to deliver what feels like event movies rather than, you know, a product of the corporation. My overall verdict on the panel is like, I think Marvel just absolutely smashed it. Like, they couldn't have done anything better. I didn't feel like anything was missing. I felt like everything they chose was very deliberate. I think they got the fans excited for things to come in the future. They even surprised a lot of us with their presentation and their reveals. I think even the way that they kind of coded the whole like Deadpool like popping up in the audience, even that just sparks a lot of engagement and conversation, not giving us a straight answer. So I think they played it really smart. And then they also just gave the fans what they wanted, especially in that Doomsday footage. Like, that footage looked so good. And I can't wait until we get the full version or something even better, but I'm sold, okay? Brand New Day is 6 days away, so we're getting really close to this movie. I still think Spider-Man's gonna be great. Hopefully it does stick the landing. I know that last trailer was a little bit rough for me, but I do still think they're gonna cook. And with Doomsday coming in December, I do feel better about it now, just kind of seeing like, you know, the passion, and everyone looked to be like they were in good spirits about the movie and very excited about it and the future. There's a section of the panel where RDJ is like, you know, he's talking to the audience about him returning, and he slips into his Doctor Doom voice for a little bit. I'll be honest, I didn't think it was like amazing or anything, and I feel like with RDJ being Doctor Doom, he needs to nail like becoming this new persona. Like, we really need to see him step away from Tony Stark. It's not that it sounded bad, but it wasn't something that was like nobody else could have played this role kind of reaction. But I think, you know, obviously it's a stage performance. When they're on camera, they're doing all these takes. I think he's gonna do well in the movie. It's just when he did it on stage, it wasn't anything that like, it didn't win me over. And all those new announcements like Ghost Rider and Black Panther 3, like really exciting stuff. It's a good thing for the fans to look forward to. And it also kind of sets a precedent for what we can expect going into the later phases. Now that the silence is finally over, like we can see that Marvel is showing their cards again, and they feel confident. They look excited about their new projects. They've got kind of a roadmap for where they want to go. It looks like they're slowly coming back, you know, and like if they can nail Doomsday and Secret Wars, I think I could officially say like Marvel's back. I'm not gonna utter that right now. It seems a little bit too premature, but I feel like we're on the right course, and I've never been as excited for Marvel since like 2019. A few months ago, I made a video asking why Marvel wouldn't release the Doomsday trailer. Then I made a predictions video. Some I got right, some I didn't. But what I do know is that after tonight, I feel like Marvel is back to Marvel. We've got a lot of new stuff to look forward to. The silence is over, and I genuinely cannot wait for what comes next. I'll be covering Brand New Day this week and everything leading to Doomsday in December. If you are not subscribed yet, now is the time. Stick around. Things are about to get really interesting. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.